So I'm doing some research on the San Luis Valley, which is the 12th Judicial District, southern, central, south central Colorado, and a little bit around there. There's Questa. There's a couple things here that's happening in Questa too. Questa isn't but 30 minutes away from the border. Then there's Taos. I'm going to let Taos be its own thing. But we have, let's see, trial for Questa teen accused of killing 13-year-old girl ends in a hung jury. Well, that's interesting. Then a second trial date for the Questa teen accused of 2023 murder. And then there's a lawsuit that blames the Questa judge for pedestrian death last year. We'll get to those here in a second. Trial begins for Questa father charged under Benny's Law. So you have June 18th, 2014, a landmark trial in northern New Mexico. A Questa father is facing criminal charges accused of letting his teen get his hands on a gun that was used in a deadly shooting. It's the first case of its kind that any New Mexico prosecutor has brought under Benny's Law. So they're saying this is Benny's Law. The legislation aims to hold gun owners accountable when someone else has used their weapons. So they argued in the opening statements that William Brown is in part for the responsible for the shooting death of the 13-year-old girl. So we're going to assume the William Brown is the father of the shooter, and we don't know who the shooter is yet, nor do we know who the 13-year-old girl is. So we got to find out who these people are. You're going to hear testimonies, see photos. This is the Taos County DA, Marcus Montoya. William Brown is charged with negligently making a firearm accessible to a minor. His son, Porfirio Brown. So we have the shooter is Porfirio, P-O-R-F-I-R-I-O. So Porfirio Brown. Porfirio Brown is the shooter and I guess the killer, killing 13-year-old Amber Archuleta. So the girl is Amber Archuleta at his Questa home in July of last year. So this had happened July of 2023. A lot of these, details get muddled and confused. They had a whole bunch of problems. There's so many problems, and there's only population 46,000. If we can't even get peace in a small neighborhood of 46,000, Pueblo's 100,000, and Louisville's 1 million. These cities have 1 million, 2 million, 3 million people. We can't even figure out 46,000. The state argues that Brown owned the gun. His 14-year-old son got a hold of it, so that's interesting. It's a minor, a 14-year-old minor, who shot 13-year-old Amber Archuleta, Porfirio. Let's see here. They called several witnesses, including police officers who were first on the scene. Brown is facing 18 months behind bars if convicted. His son Porfirio's trial in March ended in a hung jury. So, hung jury. A hung jury. So a jury looked at the situation and they said, we don't know if Porfirio Brown, 14-year-old, is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. So I don't see how they could charge the father with it when they don't even know when it comes to the... Okay, so Glenda Archuleta, Al Nachef, right, aunt to Amber Archuleta, looks to Porfirio Brown and tells him how her family had been devastated by the death of Amber during Brown's plea deal. So he's going to get a plea deal. They said August 15th. So it went from a hung jury, ends in a plea deal. And then I guess we have impact statements. They should do the impact statements right in the beginning. It's more important to say what the victim thinks and feels at the time, and then how it kind of, their lives are going to unravel, and it's going to be different. And then while the, case goes on. So a Questa teen charged last summer with second-degree murder on suspicion of shooting and killing. He did shoot. So he shot and killed a 13-year-old. Was it self-defense? Was it a police action? Is there something else going on? He said it was done at his family's home, pleaded guilty on Thursday, August 15th, to a single count of tampering with evidence, a third-degree felony. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Tampering with evidence? That's like not really killing a person. That's like tampering with evidence. And then it's interesting because police officers tamper with evidence all the time. When they don't turn on the video cameras, when they do turn it on and change it. And Porfirio Brown was 14 when he was charged in the fatal shooting of 13-year-old Questa teen Amber Archuleta on July 28th. July 28th, 2023. So you have, let's see here, his plea hearing Thursday came as he was set to stand trial. A second time in the month, Thursday's plea conference, Brown stood along his attorneys, Lizzie Bunker and David Foster. He pleaded guilty to the downgraded charge, which stemmed from the allegation that he moved Archuleta's body and attempted to clean the crime scene before the police came. According to the terms of the plea agreement, Brown faces up to 1 year of probation, and a sentencing hearing will be held on a later date. 1 year of probation. Does he get any jail time? At his trial in February, Brown was tried on counts of second-degree murder, tampering with evidence, attempted assault on a police officer. Following the mistrial, Bunker subsequently filed a series of motions seeking dismissal. She argued multiple errors had been made in the course of the investigation into Archuleta's death, including Questa police officers' failure to secure the crime scene. There is a lady there that's the mental health expert. She didn't have 1 minute to talk to me, but just makes me think, how fucking crazy are these motherfuckers? Hey, can I talk to somebody? Well, I don't know if I should talk to you. You got 20 other people you could talk to. You can't just take 5 minutes to talk to me. And then she started talking stupid and crazy as if she wanted some harm to happen to me. It's like, what is the matter with you? Now I'm asking you what the matter. So there's something, oh my God. Why are you a mental health expert if you don't have 5 minutes to talk to the person? There was a person in Alamosa who did talk to me. So that was nice. But it's like, if somebody reaches out, do they got to be worried that you're going to send a bunch of goons to shoot them down? Then it's like, don't ever reach out because they might send goons to... So I know that there's problems in Questa. The firearm used to kill Archuleta, alleged to belong to Brown's father, William Brown, was also never recovered. Interesting. So they don't even have the gun. After the shooting, the elder Brown became the first person in New Mexico to be charged with the Benny Hargrove Gun Safety Act. William Brown was found not guilty at a trial, the 8th Judicial District Court in June. Glenda Archuleta, the aunt of the teen. Let's see, your wicked actions have affected the entire community of Questa. Bunker objected to Archuleta's comments, calling them wildly inappropriate in light of the fact that Porfirio Brown was pleading not guilty to killing Archuleta. This is one of the most heartbreaking cases I've seen, Judge Chavez said. Didn't seem like you did a very good job there, Judge. But they like to do plea bargain because they don't like to do the trials. They don't know how to investigate the evidence, look at the evidence, try to find out the objective truth, and then find out the appropriate punishment for that objective truth. You got a lot of corruption in government. You got to be like Goldilocks. You got to get this right. You can't throw innocent people in jail, and you can't let the damn criminals go free. You got to get it right. Questa man charged with stealing 9 guns from a Santa Fe home. This is another Questa man. So you have Mark Edwards. Mark Edwards is accused of stealing a gun from a Santa Fe home. So he drove from Questa to Santa Fe. Now this had happened, this article is August 23rd, 2024. So this just happened. So these things are very recent. He was arrested earlier in the week in Santa Fe after he's accused of stealing 9 guns and several personal items from a residence on Onate Place. So 9 guns. 9 guns. And this is Mark Edwards. The burglary was reported Monday morning, Santa Fe police said. Police went to Ralphan Road on Tuesday after a caller reported a man and a woman had left a shopping cart in a parking lot. Police said they found the shopping cart with 4 of the 9 stolen guns inside of it, 2 rifles and 2 handguns. Several hours later, police arrested Mark Edwards, 40 of Questa, and said they found him with 2 more stolen handguns. So Mark Edwards, 40 years old, he was booked in. Now, well, they said there was a woman who left the shopping cart. Where's she at? They found him with 2 more of the stolen handguns. He was booked in a Santa Fe County jail. He's still in jail as of Friday afternoon on charges of aggravated burglary, possession of a controlled substance. Now we're going after him for drugs. He stole the guns. I mean, that's pretty... Police said they're still looking for 3 of the stolen guns, a Remington Versa Max shotgun, a Mossberg 535 shotgun, and a SIG P365 handgun. And they're asking for the public's help. If you know anything, call Santa Fe or Detective Daniel Lopez, Santa Fe Police. So that's interesting, right? Mark Edwards is stealing guns out of Questa. Questa, you're, producing some real winners here. Castilla County commissioners extend moratorium on fences taller than 5 feet. Why are we doing that? Photo by Bernadette Lucero. Photo of significant erosion and water diversion caused by grading on a steep slope. An 8-foot perimeter fence is visible in the foreground. I don't understand why we're Castilla County in a sign that they have no intention of backing down in a court battle with the Cielo Vista Ranch, 88,000 acres of property owned by the Texas billionaire William Harrison in the Culebra section of the Sangre de Cristos. Castilla County commissioners voted 3-0 on March 5th to extend a moratorium until September that prohibits construction of any fence that is more than 5 feet tall. Why would you ban people building fences? Strong fence lines make for good neighbors. So it also kind of shows like these people are just absolutely out of, the people are stealing guns and they're shooting, people and killing people, and you're talking about damn fence lines and whether or not it could be 5 foot tall and shit. I don't understand what the problem would be, but maybe there's something I'm not seeing. Man fatally stabbed in Fort Garland. Okay, so now we're actually back in the SLV. This is a June 18th, 2024 article. So this happened 2 months ago. A woman is in custody charged with murder. This is Jessica Medina. Which is interesting. Jessica Medina, there's a couple Medinas. There's a Medina who was part of the planning and zoning. He was the chief planning and zoning. So Jessica Medina, I wonder if she's related to that Medina. She's being held in alleged connection with the murder of 52-year-old Jeffrey Sugara. So 52-year-old Jeffrey Sugara is going to be murdered by stabbing, right? Sugara. Now, we might believe her if she says it was self-defense or police action, right? Well, we might not also. So this is Castilla County, and this is in the SLV, and this was in Questa, and then this one was Questa as well. So Castilla County isn't but 30 minutes away, a 30-minute drive away from Questa, so this is very close. One is in New Mexico and one is in Colorado, so that's actually federal territory, right, when it comes to interstate travel. Fort Garland, 52-year-old, this is Courier reporter Priscilla Wagoner. A 52-year-old man was fatally stabbed in Fort Garland on Sunday, leading to the arrest of a woman by deputies with the Castilla County Sheriff's Office. Danny Sanchez, right? 911 call came in 4:15 p.m. Sunday afternoon. The caller stating that a woman had stabbed a man. So somebody saw her do it. They go to a residence in Fort Garland where they found a man later identified as Jeffrey Sugara, 52, in a car, the victim of an apparent stabbing. Apparent? You're not for sure if it was a stabbing or not. Sugara was declared deceased on the scene. It seems like it probably was a stabbing since he died, right? What else could you possibly think? He was mauled by a dog or something, or maybe some moon rocks or an asteroid hit him. Deputies took a female suspect identified as Jessica Medina, 49, into custody for her alleged involvement in the incident, transported her to CCSO jail, where she's in custody until scheduled to appear in court for a hearing on advisement Monday afternoon. What's the advisement? Judge Jason Kelly, who presided in the hearing, said Medina is facing the charge of murder in the first degree and set the bond at $75,000 cash surety or $7,500 in cash. So she could just walk out if somebody would just get her $7,000, $500. She could just walk away, which is interesting because there's these other murders where they're like saying $10 million bonds, $5 million bonds. But if you're Jessica Medina, 49-year-old, you could stab a man to death and then walk away for $7,500. When the Valley Courier spoke with Sanchez on Monday, he said Medina was transferred to the Archuleta County Detention Center following her court appearance due to the condition of the Castilla County Jail. Individuals accused of committing serious crimes are routinely held in Archuleta County. Then CBI has taken over the case and an investigation is going. So I guess that when it comes to a stabbing, the Castilla County's jailer and the sheriffs and the police, they can't handle it. They got to send them to Archuleta. I guess Archuleta County has a bigger jail, a nicer jail. Body of man recovered from Shaw Lake. Body of a man recovered. This is Mineral County. This is near Creed, okay? So this is posted August 9th, 2024. Again, this month, 2024, August 9th. So did we get the date for the last one? We didn't, so we'll have to type in that again. So Jessica Medina, and then Jeffrey Sugura. And so you had the stabbing had happened, and it's June 18th article, and it's June 18th. Okay, so June 18th is the article that kind of gets us close. June 18th, 2024 was when the article was written. Now we have a dead body, which, of course, I mean, there's murders happening, murders happening all over the place. Robert Pickerel was involved in a bunch of crimes. Nick Villela was involved in crimes. Hiram Richardson was involved in crimes. You had Jinx, which I forget her actual name, but her name is Jinx, right? So she's the curse of the neighborhood. And then you had Kenny Capin was around and doing some things, and there's other people involved. I got videotape of other people committing crimes. I don't know who they are, but they have, their faces. They got distinctive faces. Noah was involved in some stuff, but it's not, there's a right-wing sovereign movement going on. Sam Jepsen, he likes to shoot at people too. And then you have people that cover up, so the police are corrupt and they hide their buddies, their criminal buddies, and they like to go after innocent people. So Mineral County, according to the Mineral County Sheriff's Office, the body of a 53-year-old man was recovered on July 30th after an apparent drowning incident on July 29th at Shaw Lake near Creed. So, man found in Shaw Lake, right? Yeah, and then this is August 9th, 2024. The identity of the man is still being determined. They don't even know who it is, but they know that he's 53 years old. I mean, that's pretty specific not to know who he is. The identity, let's see, Mineral County Sheriff Terry Weatherrill stated the details pertaining to the incident are limited. We don't know that he didn't have a life preserver, that his paddleboard recovered leash was not connected to his body. The body was recovered 5 p.m. on July 30th. So that's when they found the body. So we'll just write July 30th, body found. And law enforcement responders urge the public to wear water safety devices. We don't know for certain, but a life-saving device may have saved this person's life. So he might have just drowned. Could have been Christopher Mondragon. He killed people and then stole their four-wheeler and stole their truck and stole their trailer. And, well, he gets to run around and do as the hell as he pleases. Like I said, there is Confederate Nazi KKK criminals out of Costilla in the San Luis Valley with the judge and the police officers covering up their tracks. So no telling who did it, because you can't trust the police. You would have to find someone you can trust, and who can you trust? It's not like we got who is that old Walter Matthau? There was a Walter Cronkite. We don't have a Walter Cronkite anymore. Second trial date, we already said that, and then lawsuit. Let's check out some more Questa stuff. Lawsuit blames Questa judge for pedestrian death last year. So a wrongful death lawsuit filed Thursday accuses longtime Questa Municipal Court Judge Michael G. Rail Sr. of striking and killing a pedestrian while speeding, then attempted to use his position to influence the 911 operator and police officers who responded to the scene. So that's interesting. This guy thinks because he's a judge, he's allowed to run people over and kill them, and then the police and the 911 dispatcher are supposed to believe him. It's good that this stuff is at least still being reported. Right? If it bleeds, it leads. So they'll at least say, hey, there's, this body we found, and then they'll give you a couple details. And then this is a lawsuit, so somebody is following up with the thing. Michael G. Rael, R-A-E-L, Rael, is also a musician, struck Nathan Key Charlie. So I guess Nathan Key Charlie is going to be killed. Nathan Key Charlie is killed near the El Prado post office in Taos County when he was on his way from performing in Espanola in August, according to the civil complaint. Charlie's estate is listed as the plaintiff in the lawsuit, which accuses the judge of negligent operation of a motor vehicle, that's vehicular homicide, and asks for an unspecified amount of damages plus interest and attorney fees. Rail, who's been a judge in Questa for more than 20 years, declined to comment Thursday. He directed questions to his nephew, attorney Marcus Rael, who did not respond to a call seeking comment. When Michael G. Rael called 911 to report the incident, he said, "This is Judge Rael, Michael Rael. I'm here in El Prado, just past the post office, and I think I hit a guy. I didn't see him at all. Rail also told the operator Charlie was naked. According to the complaint, a 911 operator relayed to dispatch that a suicidal naked man jumped into the road in front of Judge Rail's vehicle. Well, that seems crazy. That almost looks like he's the victim, right? Poor Michael G. Rail Sr. He'd been driving 10 miles per hour over the speed limit, gave officers proof of an insurance policy that had expired in 1986 and was from another vehicle. So he didn't even have insurance? The posted speed limit in the area is 45 miles per hour, according to a Taos County Sheriff's Office. And it lists Charlie as having been born in 1976, but doesn't specify his age. You could just figure that out, 48, right? So Charlie was around 48, and then this had happened, and this is another, I'm just going to write Questa because it's in the Questa area. Officers did not conduct a field sobriety test on Rail to rule out impairment nor ticket him for speeding or driving without insurance, the complaint contends. When in fact you never turned around, you continued to drag Nathan's body over 150 feet, then came to a stop and called 911. Taos County Sheriff's Deputy Sylvia Trujillo wrote in her report, an officer from the Taos Police Department was first on the scene and recognized Charlie as a man officers had removed from his girlfriend's apartment at her request earlier that night in connection with a verbal domestic. A female officer on the scene can be heard on a deputy's body camera footage saying Taos police officers dropped Charlie off at the speedway. All right, you just stay here at the speedway. And then they, 45 minutes before the crash. So they kind of they all sort of set him up, right? This Nathan Charlie was just at the speedway. Then the judge comes and runs him over. He told him he had family that could come pick him up there. The deputy wrote in a report Charlie was wearing a blue t-shirt, but his black shorts and shoes had been found in the roadway about 115 feet south of where Rail's vehicle had come to a stop. What isn't known is if the decedent was walking or standing in the northbound lane of traffic or if he jumped into the northbound lane as the vehicle approached. Trujillo wrote in her report she didn't observe signs of impairment when interacting with Rail, adding he told her he had not consumed any alcohol before the crash. After concluding the investigation, I concluded that the decedent was at fault for the crash and his own demise due to being in the roadway in a dark, unlit area. Well, that's a terrible investigation, Trujillo. The lawsuit also names Lucy M. Rail, who the judge said is his 96-year-old mother. As a defendant, the complaint contends she owned the 2001 Oldsmobile her son was driving and knew or should have known that he was likely to speed, consume alcohol and drugs while using her vehicle, and did not have the car insured. According to the sheriff's office report, the car was registered to Judge Rail, not his mother. The report lists an all-state insurance policy number, but doesn't specify whether it was current. Body camera footage captured audio of a deputy giving Rail her card and telling him you need to follow up with your insurance for your vehicle. While a deputy's report indicated Rail was obviously distraught about the incident, deputy body footage shows him laughing and joking with the deputies on the scene. So, big old joke, right? Big old laugh. I didn't really get the date on that. I think this is August 2023 or 24. I'll just put a question mark on that. So, second trial date for Questa teen accused of 2023 murder. So, this had already mentioned some things, and again, we don't get any of it. Was it self-defense? Was it a police action? Were they just having an argument? Is this an ex-girlfriend? Is this somebody he liked? Is she robbing the place? What the hell is going on? We don't get any information whatsoever. They said they haven't recovered the suspected weapon, claimed Brown was not the shooter in the case. Brown's second trial is scheduled for August 19th. His father, William Brown, is also facing charges. We already knew all of that information. Here's another thing. Costilla County man is sentenced to 28 years for attempted murder of a police officer. So this is Christopher Ocasio. Now this had happened a while ago, but I guess they just had the trial, and since they just had the trial, he's sentenced to 28 years in jail. Well, he fired a couple shots. Now, Sam Jepson fired a couple shots at me. That's okay. You could just go fire shots at regular citizens, and they ain't going to do a damn thing. Ann Kelly ain't going to do shit. Michael Gonzales ain't going to do shit. None of the police, Danny Sanchez, Keith Schultz, none of these guys are going to do a damn thing about that. But when somebody shoots at them, well, shit, they shit a brick and they throw the guy in jail for 28 years. Why do we have two tiers of justice like this? Why are you allowed to shoot at a citizen and nobody says a damn fucking word? And then meanwhile, they, shots fired, you could hear the whizzing going by. That's how, that's what it felt like with me. Robert Pickerel was involved in the thing and some other ones. The sentencing, which was just 4 years shy of the maximum 32 years allowed, handed down in court on Wednesday following Ocasio's pleading guilty to the crimes. Ocasio was sentenced almost a year to the day after being taken into custody, subsequently charged by the DA, according to the arrest affidavit on September 9th, 2022. So September 9th, 2022. I'll go ahead and shut this off on 30 minutes. According to the arrest affidavit on September 9th, 2022, Questa County Sheriff's Office deputies were dispatched to Ocasio's home on Governor Road near Fort Garland in response to a call from a resident saying that Ocasio, his neighbor, had fired a high-powered rifle in his direction and that a bullet had whizzed past his head. When the police arrived, Ocasio came out of his home with an AR-15, aimed the weapon at the Questa County deputies. One deputy was able to take cover before Ocasio began firing shots in his direction. Ocasio barricaded himself in his home for hours, shooting intermittently at the covered officers. The Alamosa SWAT team responded to assist the CCSO deputies. Let's see, he's taken into custody without incident. And then we're sitting there saying how great the police officers are and how terrible he is. I'm grateful for the ruling. The sentence tells the people, don't you do this. This is awful, terrible, awful. Okay, so he gets 28 years for just shooting at neighbor and police. But we're not being told why. He's having a mental health episode, which means he could have just pleaded that he was crazy. But now he's got to do 28 years in jail for hard time. In response to a report of possible shots fired, the Alamosa Police Department responded to the 200 block of State Avenue approximately 10 p.m. What is this? Further details. Victim identified on Tuesday night, fatal shooting. So we're still doing fatal shootings, right? So this is January 19th, 2024. Now you would think with all these murders, thou shalt not murder. You would think that somebody would say, hey, something is really wrong here. Maybe it's the police, maybe it's the corruption, maybe we live in an unvirtuous society where nobody really gives a damn whatsoever. In response to a report of possible shots fired, Alamosa police, they go to 200 block of State Avenue at approximately 10 p.m. Tuesday. When they arrive on the scene, officers found the body of a deceased man who had been shot. He's later identified as John Cossell. So John Cossell, C-O-S-S-E-L. He was 58 of Monte Vista. Okay, so January 9th, 2024. Let's see, 58 Monte Vista. A female person of interest, later identified as 57-year-old Kawana Nelson. So 57, I mean, they're about the same age. Are they dating? Is this a domestic dispute? Kawana Nelson. I mean, I want to know the motive. I want to know why this is happening. It's so let's see, she's the shooter. He's the one that had died. And I'm sure we're going to say alleged, right? That covers their liability. So according to arrest documents, Nelson and Cossell were close friends. They had a brief altercation over him wanting the keys to his car. Nelson being concerned about his ability to drive. Cossell then left her apartment. Nelson, who said she suffers from PTSD to a previous violent incident, said Cossell then returned to her apartment, was banging on the door, yet did not identify himself when asked to twice. She says she opened the door while holding her 9mm Smith & Wesson, and Cossell came inside and went at her. She then shot him once, not realizing that the man she shot was John Cossell. So she didn't know. That's interesting. 9mm Smith & Wesson. So that's just a pistol, right? So it doesn't matter if you ban assault rifles or not. You wouldn't have prevented that from happening. She then shot him once, not realizing the man she shot was John Cossell. Nelson was taken into custody, subsequently charged with second-degree homicide, transported to the Alamosa County Jail. She appeared in court on Wednesday afternoon for a hearing on advisement of charges. Advisement of charges? What the hell? Why do they say it like that? For arraignment, advisement of charges. So July 5th, 2023, well, we're going to shut it off there. But there's a couple more things that we need to talk about here. But this has to do with well, the TikTok shooting, but there's a plea bargain, and so we'll talk about that coming up in a second.